My name is Tom Redd. I serve on the Lundgren Center Board and on the Norton Board, University of Arizona, and enjoy that volunteer effort. I am also involved at SAP. That means I work there, and in the area of the retail sciences and technology area space. What we're going to do today, first of all, I wanted to say just real quick now is, what do you think of this event? Going real good? That's what I think. It's amazing to have all the different types of people we have here. It's, as I would say in retail terms, this is a good assortment. So kind of a good assortment here. I'm not sure about the right price, but right now I think it's a good assortment. Now this next session, this is a whole different thing. And they actually asked me to do the intro here because of the fact that it's going to take a little bit of getting you in the right mode for this. It is the afternoon, but we're going to be talking about retail transformation. And if it ever comes to transformation, you talk to me. I'm real good at transformation stuff. So really, to do this, I need you to kind of think back. Some of you aren't going to be able to think back far enough, because otherwise you'd be thinking of yourself in a diaper, because you're the wrong ages. But you're going to think back a little bit, so we're going to do a little back to the future here. So if you just give me a little bit of your brain share, as Darryl would say, I want a little of your right brain. So that's basically my stage right, or I can't remember. That's the logic side. So I need a little bit of your right brain here. It's 1974. Inflation is spiraling at 11.3%. Nixon resigned. Rubik's Cube invented. In addition, we also had the MRI scanner invented. That's really amazing, but you know what was more amazing? At Marsh's Grocery in Troy, Ohio, they did the first scan of a UPC-coded grocery. Yes. I'm retail. And also, one last thing for me is the Samsonite, what was called the high class, the 4-inch briefcase, very wide briefcase, that was $62. Gas was 55 cents a gallon. I was in high school, I had the briefcase. Yes, I used to be a geek. So in 1974 also there was this Swedish woman who actually had decided to come all the way from Sweden, live in Tucson, go to U of A, a great school, and stay in Tucson. And she was actually this person who just absolutely loved clothing, and she loved being thrifty, and she had a desire for just endless varieties of fashion. And she was really dedicated to figuring out how to save more and more money, but how to get kind of a different angle and a different perspective on things. So she really had all the fundamentals after shopping so many thrift stores. She had all the fundamentals of retail down to a science. Even returning goods, really, she could do all this. She had everything down to a science. And with the help of her husband, she opened the very first, what we'll call a very first store that would buy and would sell, would take clothing items, pay a consignment. They would take donations, everything, and they would actually resell them and make fashion available to people at what we'll call just a very thrifty price. And that was the whole focus. So the first store is about 450 square feet. It actually expanded. It's still here in Tucson, Arizona. And also, she was very creative when they came to the point, this really smart woman, very creative, and said, how are we going to name this place? Well, she said America. When she thought of America, she thought of Buffalo. That's America to her. The Swedes always think of us as Buffalo. And what she was really building was this thing that was about an exchange. It wasn't really buy stuff really low, mark it up, sell it high, make money. She wasn't thinking like some of you retailers out there. She was thinking differently, and this was the exchange, so she named it the Buffalo Exchange. So the Buffalo Exchange became a reality. And what Buffalo Exchange does, I'm not going to tell you everything else. I have three more pages here to write. Or to read, and I could write some and tell you all that, but I'm just going to jump to the end. Actually, we're going to have Kirsten actually is going to tell you the rest of this and tell you the whole story. But I did want to throw in one point before Kirsten comes out and before Kirsten Block actually tells you the rest, as Kirsten is the president and co-owner of Buffalo Exchange is that I did some research on a favorite website I have called wayback.com. If you haven't used Wayback before, especially you younger students, try wayback.com. It stores old web pages. You can find lots of things, yes, even about me, way back. And here's something I found, a statement that Kirsten made 10 years ago. And the statement was this: why are we the exchange here? It really varies. For the long haul, we're here to provide the service of making creative fashion possible, a possibility for all people, to promote looking good, to promote doing good, and to show you, to show that you can do business in a fair and moral way and still survive. We're here to educate our employees in the ways of fashion and business and to help with the optimum use of the world's resources and to promote a sustainable way of life. So here is one really smart lady and the first person to bring forward the whole concept of retail sustainability, Kirsten Block.
Okay, now, so for something completely different today. As you know, my name is Kirsten Block, and I am very honored to have been invited to speak here today, being a very small frog among all these people, so I felt very, very lucky to be here. I'll present to you the alternative aspects of our business, Buffalo Exchange. This slideshow in the background has nothing to do with my presentation. It only serves to show you visual aspects of Buffalo Exchange. My daughter and I now own and operate 38 Buffalo Exchange stores, and we have 2 franchises left. In 2009, our revenue was just a little over $60 million. Last year was a year of change for us. My husband, Spencer Block, passed away. He'd had pancreatic cancer for 4.5 years, and he and I started Buffalo Exchange together. We were the team, the right and the left brain, and we were married for 47 years. He was our spiritual guide. He was always intellectual, always questioning, always innovative. I now run Buffalo Exchange just with my daughter and about 700 other employees. My daughter is creative and like he was, and I am the practical person in this equation. He's missed. Some of our employees have worked with us most of their adult lives. Just like I have grown up at Buffalo Exchange, they have. Many have been with us between 15 and 30 years. We are technologically challenged. So so this last year, we developed for the third time, a point-of-purchase, point-of-sale system that actually works. We didn't develop it, somebody else did, and we are currently putting it into our stores. We have, out of the 38 stores so far, we have it in 4, and it hasn't broken yet. So I wanted to give you kind of a quick background of how come I went to go into this business. I was a high school in Sweden, and I got a scholarship. I wanted to become a museum curator. That seemed to me the ultimate life's dream. And so I got a scholarship to come to the United States in 1960, and I went to the University of Arizona to study anthropology. Coming to America was really an amazing experience for me. I experienced freedom, fun, sun, all of which to some degree don't exist real well in Sweden. I met my husband-to-be, and we did go back to Sweden to get married because that way I could legally come back to the United States. In my life, I have learned that people really have the ability to choose what they want to be and how they feel and what they want to do with their lives. I learned this while my husband was getting his master's degree in counseling psychology, and we were doing a lot of soul searching and awareness finding in the 60s and 70s. So knowing that I had the power to affect my destiny has contributed to my life, as turned out. My children were small. We were living in Tucson, didn't have any money. So I spent all my time, even when I lived in Chicago, I spent a lot of time shopping for everything I had in thrift stores and at swap meets. Chicago, we went to Maxwell Street. It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of stuff. I also had the ability to see, what people might want or what I wanted, or, this is just something I grew up with. And so I thought that there probably are other people that might be interested in this kind of shopping, and then I thought, well, maybe if you if you select it out a little bit beforehand. So I have that rummaging root instinct, but not everybody enjoys rummaging. So I thought, well, I'm not really doing much else anyway. So I thought I would open a store. I had a checkered career. I was working for Sam Levitt's furniture store, where I was doing their furniture displays. And they had a change in management, and they fired me. So I thought, well, maybe I should learn, real skills. This was in 1974. So I went to the community college because I had a BA in anthropology, which was fairly useless, actually entirely useless. So I took shorthand and typing. Both shorthand I had to drop out, like after about 3 weeks. I couldn't handle that. So, and I did learn how to type, though. And I still type about what I typed then, which is probably about 40 words a minute. So, other aspects that made it easy for me to go into business was that I descended from a line of very strong women. My mother's mother, she had a business she took over after her husband passed away at the age of 50. She upholstered bus seats for a company in Sweden that makes buses and trucks called Scania Vabis. And she did this well into her 70s. My mother got to be a widow early, and I became fatherless. But she got a PhD after 50, and she went on to a 17-year career as a college professor in geography. So I never really thought much that it wasn't. Growing up in Sweden is empowering too. I mean, that's one of the good things about Sweden. Women are considered equal to men. So I never thought that I wouldn't do something that maybe wouldn't succeed. And if it didn't succeed, I didn't really care. At least I got to do something I wanted to do. So this made it pretty easy to go into business for me. My husband, though, he did worry more. And he was a librarian at this point. And he was a librarian at the University of Arizona, teaching Indians to become librarians. He didn't particularly love this job. So he grew up in Chicago in the fish business. So he did have some kind of a retail background. He used to be an elementary school teacher, then he was a school counselor, and then he became a librarian. He was also he worried a little bit more than I did. So he kind of kept us more on track. So we went into business. I was completely addicted to, I got a 400 square foot space by the University of Arizona. It was kind of right on the way from where people walked from campus to the med school. So a lot of people walk by every day. I was completely addicted to shopping. Just not thrift store shopping, but shopping in general, but I would only buy things at the thrift stores. So all the stuff that was in this store came from my house. Well, it was only 400 square foot. So I had, this is like the era of vintage slips and Mexican square dance dresses and things like that. They never really fit me, and even though I could sew, I had a little bit too much to alter all these things. So I just sort of loaded them up and took them down to the store. I thought I should learn something about business, though, so I started looking for books to read, but there wasn't anything. So I did finally find one that had great influence on me, and it was called How to Start Your Own Swap Shop, and it had a copyright date in 1940. So, but it told you basics about, how to do a store kind of like ours, what I envisioned. So We had no money, of course. We paid, I think, $100 a month in rent to Mr. Feig, and he was a very nice man. So we scrounged. We got bicycle wheels, and they were our hanging racks from the ceiling, and they were tearing down a fraternity house down the street, and they were tearing up the flooring, so my husband went down there and got a bunch of boards. And then we got black milk crates, and we sprayed them black. They were the metal ones. And that was our store fixtures, along with the old school table that still had gum stuck under it. So we didn't know about store fixtures, and we certainly didn't have any advertising. So we opened up, and actually people came into our store. This was like truly amazing. They brought in clothes, and we paid them cash right away. They wanted to trade, I get other stuff. So we were profitable in our third month. We got a write-up in the University of Arizona student paper from some girl who also loved used clothes. So that was really nice. We also had a very nice time. We had to hire somebody. We hired a friend. We had a little refrigerator, which we stocked with beer. And every day at 4 o'clock, we broke out the beer and, gave it to ourselves and to our customers. But one day the police department came in. And they told us that this was not a good idea. They didn't cite us, but we stopped at that point. So of course, everybody was feeling really sorry for us because they thought, though this was cute and seemed like fun, they couldn't conceive that we would actually make money at this. But we did, and by April, my husband could leave his job, and he started helping me with the store. He started doing books, ads, running the registers, etc. He knew a little bit more about business than I did. So we've always kept the same concept we started with. Customers bring us clothes they no longer want. And we look through it and we see if there's something we can sell again. If we think we can sell it again, we tell them what we're going to sell it for. And then of that price, we give them, right now, we used to pay more, but now we pay 35% or 30%, depending on location, in cash or 50% in trade. People can have cash, all trade, part trade. They can have a trade card for later use. But we can only take things we think we can sell. And it's based on the item's merit. Somebody else has to want it. So over the years, we have changed the way used clothing is perceived. We started by presenting used fashion as kind of like a boutique alternative setting, and we had only like nifty things, hand-embroidered blouses, dresses from Afghanistan. I mean, this was in 1974. Vintage clothing. So we kind of, over the years, have been able to turn the concept of used clothing into an ecological fashion statement. In 1974 was kind of like the first wave of recycling hit the United States, and people actually they read books about, the oceans become polluted and so on. So people kind of got the idea that maybe it wasn't so good just to throw your clothes in the garbage can. It's nowadays it's actually both chic and moral to recycle. And we provide a venue for people to recycle their clothing and turn a basically worthless asset into cash. The key to our success is selection and fast turnover, along with paying cash on the spot or trade. Some of our stores turn their inventories every 15 to 20 days. If they don't turn, we do buy a lot of stuff that doesn't sell, but we force it out of the store. We have monthly markdowns. Doesn't sell, gets down to 50%, doesn't sell 50%. We either donate it or send it to our outlet store in Nogales. Okay. We also provide an opportunity for customers to shop from many stores in one store, because we take clothes from all over. We have one-of-a-kind items, we have vintage, we have high-end designer clothing, we have basic clothing, we call them mall clothes, which is from stores like Gap, J. Crew, Banana Republic, Target, Forever 21, etc. So we are frequented by many people who kind of want to have an eclectic look. So most buying is done at each store locally. We try to think, we kind of like the idea of not seeming like a mini chain. So we kind of try to preserve the local aspects of each store because people in different communities like to feel that it's their store. We do have, well, since we buy clothing, people bring it to us, it's a very efficient business model because we don't have to pay, for going out to buy it and having it shipped and so on. Although we're not that good, we actually do sell new clothing too. So we have about 20% of the stuff in our stores is new. So we do have to have a mini distribution center and warehouse and so on. But we like it because it gives our store a more current feel. If you just have used clothing, it's kind of easy to look a little too used. So the new clothes we buy is like trendy, off-price, usually overruns from manufacturers in LA and from discounters at clothing shows. Everybody works to have engaged customers. Well, we work to have engaged employees. This is like one of our key concepts. We find that they provide better customer service. So change, like for everybody else here, is constant for us because we grow and we provide new opportunities. We practice open book management. We've had that for over 15 years. We teach everybody who works for Buffalo Exchange how to understand the financial statement. So each store knows how their stores are doing. They're also involved in setting the financial goals for their stores. We went to see, maybe 12 years ago or so, Jack Stack and the Great Game of Business seminars, and thought that was really interesting, and then we became really serious about book management after that. We also adopted a bonus structure that we learned at the Great Game, which was based on the profitability of each store. Employees of each store share in the profitability, which produces a bonus, and then they get, a share of that. So everybody who works for us gets a bonus, except for the people who are unfortunate enough to work in stores that don't make any money. Let's see. We promote from within almost exclusively if we can. We have a accelerated management program that we created called AMP that any store employee can apply to. We've probably graduated about 4 to 6 people from this program so far. It's pretty new, and they receive 4 to 6 months intensive training and go on to become store managers. So since we're always opening new stores, we always have a need for new store managers. We provide, and we also have the managers that don't make it, so they can't stay with us. We provide basic benefits to all of our employees. We have health insurance for the full-time people, of which we pay at least 80%. We have a premium of the premium. They pay about 20%. We have 401k discounts, first choice of clothing. This is really important in the stores. It really makes our customers mad. And they tell me that I should change it all the time because the employees, of course, are getting all the good stuff, which isn't really true. We have our X team, which is a research and development team that I am banned from participating in because I'm too old, and I'm thinking too old school. So since we market to our employees, we also educate them extensively. We have store manager meetings twice a year, always in a place where we have a store and they can visit the store. We use these meetings to educate our managers in various topics, including inventory management, personnel management, etc., clothing selection. And then we have a company meeting. Well, the other thing we use for these meetings is kind of like to create a group for the manager to kind of belong to, because it's kind of lonely, you know, to be the manager up there. And since we promote from within, there's a great tendency for people to kind of want to stay an employee, you know, be friends with the people in the store, so we have to kind of re-educate them there. The company meetings we have are for everybody who works as a manager for us, including IT, warehouse, maintenance, so on. And there we do more psychological kind of training. We explore self-awareness. We do, let's see, I lost my place here. We do work on personal growth, employee empowerment, more extensive financial planning, etc. We also have an employee advisory committee where one person, one manager, one employee from each store gets to meet with upper management. We bring them in, and then we just sit around and talk to them to find out how things really are at their stores. We have that once a year. We are a traditional company in the way we're structured. We have area managers that each oversee between 5 to 7 stores. We like to keep it kind of close so they really know what's happening in the stores. We started early on realizing we needed a company culture, so we have worked on it extensively. Some people say that we have a cult. I wouldn't say we have a cult. We just have a company culture. And we base our beliefs, and we teach this to everybody who works for Buffalo Exchange, on the 5 points of power, which I'm sure many of you know, but they're worth repeating. They're always good for your personal life and for your business. Ask for what you want. Keep your agreements. Speak the truth. Be accountable for your own experience, or to put it another way, be responsible for your actions and decisions. And give 100% attention to whatever you're doing. We are a sustainable company. We like to be more of a sustainable company. We're not first and foremost profit-driven. On the other hand, though, we can't carry people who can't produce for us, and we can't keep stores that we can't make go. We actually had to close a store in Boise because we could never make that store. It would never go. So we have strived to make a living for ourselves and for our employees, and to reinvest in our company. We value individuals and creativity. People always ask me, do you have to have tattoos for work for Buffalo Exchange? Or do you have to have red and blue hair? And I say, no, you don't at all. Actually, we hire lots of people that don't have any of these attributes in the stores, but then when they've been there for about 4 months, they look like that. So I can't help that. It's like they look like they stepped out of the J. Crew catalog, and then they look like the alternative lifestyle model a little later. So, but we do actually have a lot of various different looking employees. The key thing is that we can hire people that we call them, they're fashion obsessed, and they have to have the eye. They have to be able to see. This is the one, I find you can teach people pretty much, you can teach them to be nice, I mean, sort of nice at least, but we can't teach them how to see. If they don't come with that, they can't work. We have a career track program for our employees, which kind of outlines what they have to do to get to where they're going to. So we have different job levels, and people can promote from one to the other. We reward, of course, you know, people make more money if they have a higher job, obviously. Let's see here. We have a lot of employee involvement. Employees can contribute to our website. We have an employee newsletter that people like to write articles for. We have the employee advisory committee. We value and trust our employees. We could never function without them. And we especially try to get them engaged. Actively engaged employees, there's no substitute for it. We're socially responsible. Of course, we're socially responsible just because we recycle clothing, but we also do engage in various charitable activities, working with a lot of nonprofit organizations. We have an Earth Day sale every year where we team up with a major charity, like maybe the Buffalo Field Campaign in Montana, or some kind of an ecological. We worked a lot with the Humane Society of the United States. We have a sale where we saved our donations for a few months. We sell everything for $1, and it's a mob. And it gets us a lot of publicity, though. And we also have a yearly fur drive for the Humane Society of the United States, where we're a drop-off place for old furs, because and then we send them on their behalf to wildlife rehabilitators, because they have found that animals that are injured or orphaned, they recuperate or become better if they're on real fur, much more so than if they're sleeping on blankets. We have our Tokens for Bags program, where if you don't take a bag, then we donate 5 cents to a charity. Each store decides the charities they want to be involved with. We do have now the recyclable bags, but we still like to save them. We celebrated our 20th anniversary by putting together a Buffalo Exchange Arts Award, because the artists have always been very supportive of our business. It's in Tucson. It's called the Buffalo Exchange Arts Award. It's administered through the Community Foundation of Southern Arizona. It awards an artist $10,000 a year. We grow slowly and organically. We finance all of our own growth. We have no debt. We open usually about 3 to 4 stores per year. Currently, we're expanding in the eastern United States because we have the West fairly well covered. We choose locations based on specific demographics that we look at. We don't look at income level or people within certain radius. We look at the types of people who live in an area. Our favorites are, they kind of took away this category, but we loved them. They were the young bohemians. They were like our customers. We also, we're students, junior high school students through college, cafe society, young working adults are our main customers. We look for cities that have, I don't know who of you read Richard Florida's books, but he has the creative class. The creative class is like our customers. I won't go into the concept, but it's a good thing to look for. We also look for places that have stores like Urban Outfitters and American Apparel. Those tend to be compatible businesses with ours. I love what I do. I'm still doing it. People say, shouldn't you retire? I said, well, here in Tucson we have a lady called Peterson, and she started a clothing store like in the 1930s, and she was a fashion icon. They established the Seal Peterson Award through the Southern Arizona AIDS Foundation, so last year I got it. So I thought, well, now I'm nearly going to be like Seal Peterson and not retire. I have been able to work with my passions, which are clothing, the visual world, and bargain hunting. Another thing we've done a lot of is developing and empowering women, because women are a lot of our employees. Working at Buffalo Exchange teaches you assertiveness, because we only take about 20% of what everybody brings in. So you have to be good at not offending customers, but still being able to say no. People in Tucson, though, they do remember me personally as the person who never bought their clothes. These days, we have a lot of competition. We have franchisors who have used our business model and are franchising our concept all over the United States. We also have independent stores that are using our concept. They say, oh, it's just a buy-sell trade store, and that's fine with me. I don't care, but We do want to be the leaders and the innovators in this industry that we created, and pretty much everything we do, they do. It gets a little annoying at times, but so you look at your website, so then it is on their website. We work at being part of every community we're in, and we support the local charities in those communities. We do, like everybody else, extensive PR. PR we get especially because we work with so many ecological and charitable organizations. We actually advertise still, paper advertising. We advertise in alternative weekly papers and in student newspapers. And we use a lot of social media. We have our own in-house advertising department because we found we can get across what we want to say much easier that way. We redesigned our website last year to interface with the ever-changing social media. If you want to know more about Buffalo Exchange, and I've only covered like, 1/10, it's all on our website, buffaloexchange.com. Our customers now can share with us on Facebook, with Twitter, we have YouTube. There's a really great video on YouTube some woman made about her really horrendous experience at Buffalo Exchange. And it's very, very funny. But we liked it so well, we contacted her and said, would you like to do training videos for us? So, and then they made a video about these people had now moved on to another business. They were working at a health club. Made me very happy. Right now we have the Coats for Cub drive, which is our fur drive. That's kind of like the thing where most of our visitors are sharing at this particular point in time. We do feed Flickr photos onto our website as well. We have our Facebook page that we started last year, Twitter profile. We of course noticed, like everyone else, that social media was becoming very popular with our employees, our customers, and other businesses, and that Buffalo Exchange had a way to connect with people this way. We also, of course, realized, like everybody else, that social media is a great form of free advertising and PR. We target alternative culture mainly, but I wouldn't say we're an alternative culture company. We just, we have a lot of customers of all kinds. But we do have mostly the clothing-obsessed individuals, or people are just looking for useful clothing. The other day, a guy came to fix something at my house and said, I got these jeans at Buffalo Exchange. And it's a pair of, Levi's. I said, well, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you're shopping at Buffalo Exchange. Because a lot of people just need clothes that are still okay. They're nice. We have, though, every kind. We have mothers and daughters. We have people who are my age that still come in, once a week to shop. And you can find anything you want, but you have to look. We always try to be the first company for media coverage. And since we're so old, we typically are. And since we're in the forefront of the fashion recycling industry, we're typically called by the media first. In today's economic climate, of course, used clothing stores have received a plethora of media coverage. So my story is not really about how to recuperate in a bad economy, because we do very well in a bad economy by our business model. We do fine in the other types too, but we do probably a little better in hard times. So we've been featured on various, Today's Show, Good Morning America, CNN. We've had a lot of media coverage this year, which has been really wonderful for our business. We are a green company, and we market ourselves as a green company because now it's very popular to be green, but a lot of people just look for anything. You know, they're recycling their paper. They're a green company. Well, we actually are green, so we try to recycle as much as we can. We had our point-of-purchase, point-of-sale system designed for us this year. This is a huge undertaking for us because now we're having to implement it. We had to have it designed because we couldn't buy a model because we buy from people, we trade. The trade part was the part that really threw people off. And we pay out cash, as well as now we can track all kinds of fun things about our customers. So that kind of tells you a little bit more about Buffalo Exchange, and if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Hi. I'm curious, when I followed the National Retail Federation Consumer Insights, and when they spoke to 8,000 consumers last November about their Christmas shopping intentions, 7% said that they intended to look for gifts first at a resale store. And I was wondering if you saw an increase in the last, this past Christmas, because that's, Christmas is a $430 billion category, and your segment of the market could take a big chunk away from mainstream retailers. And I was just wondering what you thought about that.
Well, that's interesting because, first of all, the resale industry is a very small section of the economy. So the 7% people said they might look in resale stores is interesting because that's probably all that ever shops in them at any other time of the year as well. So that kind of answers that. But I do think that people aren't that keen on buying things that are used for Christmas presents. We do buy kind of new tchotchke little things, that people can trade for and have. Also, we sell an enormous amount of gift cards for Christmas.